S23 SARM as male contraception? Oral male contraception? Too good to be true? Well, that's what's being developed right now by scientists. You may have heard me also talk about ment in the past, which is another form of oral male contraceptive, which ends up having a lot of muscle building and fat burning effects. I've got here in front of me the actual study that was done in 2009 on S23 about how effective it was as an oral male birth control. The pharmacologic effects of S23 were characterized in male rats as an animal model of hormonal male contraception. S23 showed high binding affinity and was identified as a full agonist in vitro. In castrated male rats, the ED50 of S23 in the prostate and levator ani muscles was 0.43 and 0.079 mg per d, respectively. In intact male rats, that means with their testicles still intact, treated for 14 days with S23 alone, suppressed luteinizing hormones by greater than 50% at dosages greater than 0.1 milligram. They tested the rats without testicles, meaning they cut them off and then they tested it on them, and they tested the rats with testicles. They tested the rats with S23 alone, and then they tested the rats with S23 and estradiol. The reason why they used estradiol in the second test is because if you completely suppress estrogen by suppressing natural testosterone production, then the desire to mate or the ability to mate is diminished, and so they can't tell how fertile the animal is. So they had to actually give the animal estrogen to keep its sex drive up high enough to actually see how much sperm was left. Which means that for humans that are considering taking long cycles of S23, they may also want to consider either taking some estrogen alongside it or taking some other type of steroid or something that converts to estrogen or causes the body to produce natural estrogen production like HCG, or maybe even some herbal estrogen replacements. In male rats that were treated for 14 days with S23, they had 50% reduction in luteinizing hormone, which is a good indication of fertility. That occurred at dosages over 0.1 milligrams per day for 14 days. Fascinating thing about SARMs is they do have the potential of actually reducing prostate size. Traditionally, steroids are feared to increase the prostate size, increase prostate cancer. From the very beginning, scientists have been trying to create steroids that have all of the anabolic benefits without the androgenic side effects of prostate growth, and SARMs is the newest development in that chain of studies. S23 miraculously decreased the size of the prostate. So not only was it anabolic in the muscles and grew the muscle tissue, but it also decreased the size of the prostate instead of just not increasing it. They also gave the rats just estrogen to see if that would affect their spermatogenesis, and it did not, which means that the S23 was absolutely the cause and responsibility for the cancellation of the rat's fertility. In the rats given S23 and estrogen at 0.1 milligrams per day of S23, 4 out of the 6 animals showed no sperm in the testes and 0 pregnancies in mating trials. After termination of the treatment, infertility was fully reversible with a 100% pregnancy rate observed after 100 days of recovery. S23 increased bone mineral density and lean mass, but reduced fat mass in a dose-dependent manner. This is the first study to show that a selective androgen receptor modulator combined with estrogen is an effective and reversible regimen for hormonal male contraception in rats. Beneficial effects of S23 on the muscle, tissue selectivity, and favorable pharmacokinetic properties make it a strong candidate for use in oral male contraception. I personally experimented on myself with S23, not for the purpose of becoming temporarily infertile, but because I wanted to experiment with how powerful its muscle building effects were. And the effects that I noticed is it was similar to a Winstrol, very powerful steroid-like activity, causing my muscles to become very dense, very hard, and very defined within just a few days of starting the protocol. I took 30 milligrams per day. I took it for a total so far of about 10 days. I went on and off because I sustained a little bit of hair loss and I wasn't sure if the S23 was causing it. Now, after many of my friends and feedback from many other people using it, hair loss is not a common side effect of the S23. So either my body had a specific out of the ordinary reaction to it, or my hair loss was caused by some other means. I intend to go back on S23 in the future for purposes of using it as a male contraceptive and for building muscle pre-competition instead of using the oral Winstrol steroid. S23 still carries with it the status of a research chemical, meaning it can be bought for research purposes, not for human consumption. We don't know exactly what effective or how effective the dosage would be in humans and whether it's going to be reversible in humans. For now, I will use S23 when I want to prevent pregnancy, and I will not use S23 despite how incredible it is at building muscle when I do want to have a baby. Be swole and swole, my friends of freedom, pioneers of human evolution.